What's shaking, everybody? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of House Divided. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. We got a big old action-packed full show for you today. 11 Longhorns going to the Combine. Hot damn, Chad, Texas is back. It's back. Texas is back.
Hey, that's one way to tell, right? It's one way to tell whether you can say you're back or you're relevant or you matter or whatever is, well, when they get together in Indianapolis, do they ask any of your guys to show up?
Yeah,
sometimes it's that simple.
It is sometimes that simple. We'll get into that in a second. Guys, make sure you do us a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, get notifications, all of those things, if you don't mind. We're going to talk Arch Manning today. ESPN has an early top 25. We're going to get into that today. We do have to lead off with the Combine, though, Chad, because we've had a lot of conversation that this could be a year where the Longhorns really have a big impact in the draft, that there's an expectation that they could have double digits. I thought the number could be as high as maybe 13, 14, but that was back in the day when I thought that you'd see maybe Jaron Thompson also. There were some guys that left that decided that they weren't quite ready for the NFL that I thought might be day 3 picks that are playing an extra year of college football. But it's a big list for the Longhorns. You can run that crawl at the bottom whenever you're ready, but man, it's a couple of running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 D tackles, a linebacker, and sneak a DB in there. It is a big old healthy collection of Texas talent. I don't think anybody got snubbed. I wondered whether or not Jordan Whittington would get the invite. He did. Keelan Robinson got an invite to the Combine. Considering his usage, I don't know that there's an offensive guy that got used as little from week to week as Keelan Robinson that will be at the Combine this year. He's there. I saw that in total, right? You're talking Brooks, Keelan Robinson, Adonai Mitchell, Jordan Whittington, Xavier Worthy, Jatavian Sanders, Christian Jones, Devondre Sweat, Byron Murphy, Jalen Ford, Ryan Watts. That's everybody that we expected, right? I went like position by position in my head. I can't think of anybody that didn't get an invite.
No.
Maybe Ryan Sanborn as the punter?
It's everybody. Yeah, it's everybody. Kind of everybody I thought plus a couple more. I know that just in my head, it was around 8. I heard an 8 to 10 discussion at one point, and I think it was John Harris that was on with us at one point that said one of the first people that I heard talk about a dozen. And we were thinking, wait, they could push up to that number, and he was almost right on it. So, I mean, that's a big number. 11 guys. When we know it wasn't that long ago, Texas went through a whole draft without having somebody drafted, and we know that first round thing was there for a while, and obviously, Bijan helped to get rid of that one, but that's huge. If you're a Texas fan today, you are thrilled at this. But yeah, I think everybody's there, Catch, including a couple guys that I wasn't quite sure about. Maybe like a Watts. That was one I was kind of – Watts and Keelan Robinson are probably 2 of those that I thought, are they going to go? I love Keelan Robinson. I really hope he can become something in the NFL. I may end up being wrong, kind of like I was about the usage at Texas. I thought they were going to use him more, thought he was going to do more, but I hope he shows up in Indy and shows out and has good times.
I think Keelan Robinson's probably the answer to if there was one guy that you're maybe a little bit surprised by. I'm not surprised at all by Ryan Watts. My expectations is that Ryan Watts is an NFL player. I think he's a guy that has started and played a lot of college football at a high level. I watch guys make it as a DB in the league all the time. First of all, you got to have like a bazillion DBs on every NFL team. Like that's just part of the deal. So I think he's going to, I would be surprised if Ryan Watts doesn't have a place in the NFL when it's all said and done. I was a little worried about Jordan Whittington, but then he got the Senior Bowl invite. And that's usually a pretty good sign that if you get the Senior Bowl invite that you'll get a Combine invite. Somebody asked earlier, Chris Bennett asked, is 11 players a Texas record? Chris, I don't think so. I mean, you've got that 1983 draft where I think 17 guys were drafted, but God, did they even have a combine back in 1984? I feel like my real draft watching started in 88 and 89. That's really, I can remember being a kid. I can remember Mike Sherrard getting drafted by the Cowboys, but it really turned into an event. The 1989 drafts got Aikman in it, and I literally remember the moment. I remember where I was. I was at McNeil, like Spicewood Springs in 183 at an HEB that doesn't even exist anymore in 1989, Chad, telling my mom what a big deal Troy Aikman was going to be for the Cowboys. I was 12 years old and letting her know this is going to change everything. And it did. I'll have to check, Chris, on – we'll see. I'll check with Bianco and see if he's got any data on who that is. Someone else asked how many of the 11. Chad Gibson asked how many of the 11 do we think get drafted? I think they all get drafted, except if you make it to the combine, my assumption is you're on pace to be drafted. It doesn't always work that way. I think Keelan Robinson's probably got the hardest road in front of him. He's going to have to run really fast. If Keelan Robinson does run a blazing 40 time, he might put himself into a position to get drafted. I wonder about Jordan Whittington. I think the answer for all of these guys is they got to test well. I've seen Longhorns that I thought, look, man, I can remember Priest Holmes going undrafted, but being at the Texas Senior Day and running steps in the stadium by himself, just killing himself. But sometimes it comes down to things guys don't test well. I've always heard Jordan Whittington talk about his 40 speed, and I don't know that I've automatically believed it. So I'm fascinated to see exactly what he runs. I think they all get drafted. I don't know about other than maybe Keelan Robinson, who I'm not sold on. But I think beyond that, some of these guys are probably going to be day 3. I'm interested to see Christian Jones because coming out of the Senior Bowl, suddenly the talk was with him could he sneak into a late day 2, early day 3, whereas I think a lot of people have gone from he wasn't going to be drafted at all a couple of years ago to maybe he could be a late drafted guy, late day 3. And now after the performance that he had in Mobile, there's some speculation that he's on that 4th, 3rd round bubble. What a great job of development, and what a great job of him of staying committed and kind of getting there. Everybody's a winner on the Christian Jones Express. I will say this. It's funny. For years, the Longhorns haven't been sending guys to the NFL draft or the combine, Chad. But all of my data is often centered around NFL draft stuff, right? How many guys, what's the percentage of guys that get drafted as a 4-star or a 3-star and on what day? And I've got all of these analytics. And a lot of Texas fans over the years have been like, you need to stop using. First of all, I use the NFL draft stuff in my analytics because it's not subjective, right? It's they either did or they didn't. And it's not like, well, what's the definition of a good player? Or what's the definition of a very good player? I do the drafted thing because my opinion doesn't influence the data. And nobody else's opinion other than did guys get drafted or not. But, it's not a subjective take. When I say, 1 out of every 2 5-stars gets drafted in the top 3 rounds, that's not an opinion. That's literal data. And people get mad and they say, well, there are good players that don't get drafted and don't go to the combine. And I don't know why you use that metric. Texas fans will stop bitching about me using the NFL draft as the metric for defining whether or not a player is a success or not. Now they got 11 dudes at the combine. You start getting double-digit drafted guys, and it's like, oh, yeah, give us the draft data. But Texas has sucked for so long. They haven't been having guys drafted. I don't think Texas fans have wanted to hear the draft data because they know that's not them. But that changes this year. 11 guys at the combine. I think there's a really good chance that double-digit Longhorns get drafted. I believe Michigan, though, had 18 guys invited to the combine. 18.
Yeah. I think I saw the Washington numbers right about Texas's too. 11, I want to say, was the number for Washington.
This just in. I've been telling you guys this for years. Those NFL draft numbers, they matter. They matter.
Yeah, like you said, there's nothing you have to worry about being subjective. The definition is, did an NFL team take a card? I don't know if they have a physical card anymore or if they type it in. Did they put the name in? That's all you need to know.
I think they still have cards.
In this case. Do they still do the card and physically?
They walk that card up to the stage. Yeah, they do. It's
unless you're the Vikings at one time.
I can remember when Sarkisian takes over, when Herman takes over, when Charlie took over, and the draft would occur, and through no control of their own, the Longhorns are getting drafted. And that's something that those coaches, every single one that has come through in the post-Mac Brown era, they've been trying to get over this hump of when draft day comes along, the Longhorns aren't making an impact. It's bad for recruiting. It's bad for the program. It speaks volumes in all the wrong ways. So when a headline like today comes out, it matters. It matters because it's a clear indication of success on the field. Mm-hmm. It's rare that you're getting double-digit guys going to the combine and your team was terrible. It can happen on occasion, and usually by terrible, you went like 9-3, right?
Yeah, you're like, you're good. You're not great.
You've got really good talent to have that level. Now, the key for Texas will be year in and year out replicating this. But there's a clear correlation between the number of players that an NFL team likes on your team in college football and how successful you are. And look at Michigan, look at Texas, look at Washington, look at Bama, right? Those teams. I don't even know what Bama's numbers are. I'm sure they're fine. But you mentioned Washington. I mentioned Michigan. If you take those four teams, Texas's 11 represents 3% of all players going to the combine. There's like a little over 300. But if you add 18 from Michigan, that's 29. Let's say Washington. I need to look it all up, but we may get to a point where, a big chunk of the overall group of guys that will be in Indianapolis will be guys that played in the 4-team playoff. That will be a real sizable number. There won't be any teams in that group that don't have guys going to the combine. So, is Texas back? That is subjective. But I would say that when any program is sending those types of numbers to the combine, it's not about being back, but you're there. You're there. We can argue about the back part, right? But Texas is in this space that it wants to be with those types of numbers.
All right, Catch, here are the numbers. Let's add them up. Here's thanks to our guy Cody. He's in the chat as well, but from Cody from Roster Watch. People have seen him on with
what up, Cody?
Plenty of times. Cody threw the numbers up on Twitter earlier. Here we go, Catch. Michigan with 18. You are correct. Washington's got 13. So that gets us to 31, if my math is right. Texas with 11 gets you to 42, and Bama's got 10. So that's 52 guys from those four teams.
Not shabby at all. Basically, to get into the college football playoff this year, you had to have double-digit NFL combine guys.
Yeah. Look at that. He jumped in the chat as I was looking it up. Thank you, Cody. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Did you not see Cody in the chat?
I'm looking all over the internet for Cody. I'm all proud of myself. And here's Cody feeding us the information. Cody, I'm just going to sit back and let you feed us the info.
I saw you mentioned Cody's name, and I was like, oh, yeah, Cody's in the chat. He's got it right there. And you just were saying it. You didn't even know that it was there. Look at that. Florida State 12, by the way. These are the teams that were knocking on the door. What do they have in common? 12 for Florida State, 11 for Georgia, 7 for Oregon. And if you think about, where's Ohio State? Cody, come on now.
That's a number I have not heard today. I've not
Come
heard
on, Cody. We need Ohio State.
Yeah. One of our chatters was jumping in, asking the question about 11. Was it really 11? Vivek says 11. Yes, 11. We're running them on the bottom of the screen for you for a little bit longer. But 11 Texas guys headed to the draft. Also, I thought that, speaking of Cody, earlier catch, he was jumping in the chat and going back and forth with a couple of the chatters. He's talking about Ryan Watts having the length and projection that teams always think they can teach. So that 100% always made sense. And
I agree. Totally.
Yeah, and one of our chatters asked if they thought he was a safety or a cornerback, and Cody said they don't decipher at the combine, just DB, but at the Shrine game, he was playing cornerback for the majority of the time. Thank you, Cody. Yeah, I'm interested to see what he can be.
We needed to get Cody on as see, Cody? God damn, you're going to get a medal today. Can we just put an icon of a medal on the show? I don't know what I have. Look, somehow, Cody, this ended up on my desk. You're the official football. Chad's not even looking. You're
nice.
The official. I thought this was a Dallas Cowboy troll. Cody, this just ended up on my desk. This is for you.
I was looking for something. I got an old tennis trophy. You want to give him an old tennis trophy? I got one of those.
He's the first official winner of the football troll, which is the first time I've taken a good. Again, this thing just ended up on my desk. I got
Wait, here's one with
things.
This one's got a football dude on top. It's like some kind of fantasy football trophy that I've acquired somehow. It wasn't me.
My kids have some times tables. You need some? We can go 8 times 11 and 6 by 10.
We got you, Cody.
Cody, we're thinking of you. That's what you need to know.
Whatever you need, Cody.
We're thinking of you. Gabriel jumping into the super chat, $4.99. Thank you very much, Gabriel. Will there be a baseball season preview and other baseball videos on Orange Bloods? Gabriel, there have already been baseball preview articles written by our guy Zach over on Orange Bloods. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll have Zach bump them all, or maybe I know he did like a 3-part series, I think just last week. Will there be baseball videos on OB? The plan is to do so. We're still working out our staff coverage on Orange Bloods. I'm literally interviewing people, and my expectation is that we'll have somebody hired to aid Zach in the coverage with no Aaron this season. So stay tuned. Will we do baseball videos on Orange Bloods? I think the tentative plan is yes, but if I'm being fully transparent, those videos don't often get a lot of views. So we'll probably do some, and if they perform and people watch them, then we'll do more. If we do baseball videos, nobody's watching them, there are other ways for us to invest our time and energy. So that is Gabriel. That is as full transparency as it gets. I literally just told you the plan, and I hope the plan is okay for you. But yeah, I'm telling you, we had baseball previews up on Orange Bloods last week. I know Gabriel had previews of everything, or Zach will have stuff of everything this week. So yeah, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. You threw me off.
Thank you, Gabriel. Yeah, and if you want a couple of fun baseball conversations on the Outsiders, we've recently spoken to Greg Swindell and Ty Harrington and asked them both about the team. Swindell's obviously going to be doing a lot of that TV coverage on LHN. Ty Harrington's going to be doing some games on radio and doing TV. He's going to be doing games on radio with Craig, but he's also going to do some TV stuff for ESPN Plus. He's going to be at some of those early tournaments. So we did chop it up a little bit with those guys. So if you want to go back and check out some of the Outsider stuff, we did that. And you can trust also that if you are an Outsiders watcher, Bo, Chance, they're into their Texas baseball. So we'll be talking.
How'd the Four Loko thing go last night?
That's coming up on Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday, Bo has to drink an entire Four Loko during the show because he lost the playoff picks for the NFL. So that should be fun.
I would not have engaged in that. I would not have agreed to that, but I will tune in for that, or I'll at least want the snippet of that. Chad, real quick, we're getting ready to segue into the Arch Manning portion of the discussions today. I feel like a lot of people got hooked in by the Arch Manning's awakening tease on video. Before we do that, let's pay a bill. Is it Hayes at the beginning? What are we doing first?
We're going to get a little sinus and snoring here. And again, we'll let me just make sure we got this going. We'll start with a little sinus and snoring specialist. Make sure you are starting your day off with, rest, and you're getting good sleep. You're getting good rest. They'll make sure at sinus and snoring specialist. One of my favorite things about them is they stay with you through the whole process. They're always looking at the numbers. In fact, they're checking my wife's numbers on the CPAP machine. They check it from the office. It's all high-tech stuff now. They've got all that stuff. They've got the sleep test that they sent me home with multiple times to monitor my numbers and then say, okay, let's think about doing this, or we like the numbers right where they are. Do all kinds of cool stuff like that. That's your QR code to scan. You'll meet Dr. Slaughter in the first consultation. Get it taken care of. If you're like me and you're damn near 50 and you're snoring like crazy and you're always tired and you always have to take a nap and everybody bitches about how much you snore, get it looked at. Get it looked at. It can turn into something a whole lot worse, and you don't want that to happen. Sinus and snoring specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. They do incredible work over there at Palmer and Mopac. All right, we'll let this roll by the rest of it one last time as we get to Jalen Ford and Ryan Watts. 11 Longhorns headed to the Combine in Indy. Congrats to those guys. Yes, Catch. You did draw them in with the thought of Arch Manning. Let's talk a little 1-6 and some information that you got regarding the backup quarterback at Texas.
Well, I was talking to a source this weekend. I had this in my 10 thoughts from the weekend, and we would have done it yesterday, but we were doing a lot of Super Bowl discussion. You got to forgive us. Like, we just needed a day. Yesterday was like a Chad and Jeff show. We needed like 300 of these a year. We had to do a Super Bowl show. Woo-saw, right? Like, we're last football game of the year. Just
don't do it. Don't get me. I did XFL March 30th. I'm waiting. Come on.
I'm not waiting that. I would rather watch the Combine than the XFL. Although I might watch Birmingham because Silas Bolden's brother is playing. So
we're going to get you in. We're going to get you in. UFL. My bad. I said XFL. UFL. I'm sorry, Dwayne. I'm sorry, Rock.
We need more former Longhorns and Aggies playing in this as well.
I've cruised through the rosters, Catch. I'm not seeing a lot so far.
What's up with that? Why do these leagues hate the Longhorns and the Aggies?
I know. I'm going to double check rosters as we get closer, but so far in just doing a peek, there's a couple names you'll know, but there's not a lot. There's not a lot at all.
Okay.
We'll do that research.
Back to Arch.
Yes, sir.
I was talking to a source this weekend, and we were just talking about the progress that he's made since he arrived. And one of the things that remember when we did the show early in camp about Arch, and it was like, was Arch overrated? I can't remember exactly how we tagged it, but we were about 5 practices in, and we did a show because there had been some murmurs about, he doesn't quite look like a 5-star. And, we've talked to sources behind the scenes that early on, like back in the summer before practice even started, there were people that were like, Malik looks better than Arch. And Malik wasn't a 5-star. So this whole thing of like early in Arch's tenure in year 1, there was a lot of, he doesn't quite look like a 5-star. I haven't seen that yet. The adjustment to the speed of the game and the players that he's playing with, because in New Orleans, he wasn't exactly playing on Allen High School or South Lake. It wasn't like one of those deals. Playing at a small school, the level of classification wasn't quite up there. He's struggling a little bit with that. There were people behind the scenes, whisper, whisper, whisper. who were saying things like, maybe this Arch guy isn't all that. Like, maybe everybody got it wrong. Maybe we're going to get stuck with the Manning that doesn't make it. And oh my God. So these things were being said behind the scenes early on. Then you start to hear, hey, he's getting a little bit better. Hey, he's getting a little bit better. So I'm talking to a source this weekend. Here's what I wrote in 10 Thoughts from the Weekend. This is the quote. Quote, I don't want to say that I doubted Arch. This is coming from a source. But it took some time before he fully settled in, and I kind of wondered if those people that questioned his number one ranking were right. Why do I bring all this up? Because I don't think there's a player in the program that's made more improvement since the start of last season than Arch. Towards the end of the season, you could see the improvement taking place every day. He's going to be really good. And I can tell you that some people really want to see him on the field more. If Malik Murphy hadn't left, he would have been passed on the depth chart. I don't know why my mom is calling and doesn't realize I'm doing a show. He would have been passed on the depth chart in the spring. He's going to be great, end quote.
How about that?
And when I got that quote, I was like, well, I got to pass it along to Orange Bloods, right? Because who's not going to get excited about an Arch Manning quote from somebody behind the scenes, especially with one that talks about how he would have passed Malik and he's going to be great. But I think one of the real interesting stories is the middle part of that. The beginning part, which I've outlined, is there were people early on who kind of questioned whether or not is he that guy? And then once the football season started, the evolution that he made during the season, I think, is probably been more talked about amongst people that I talk to on a regular basis than most of the quarterbacks that I've covered at Texas in this position. If you think about it, year one with Quinn, there was a lot of questioning. Part of what made Quinn's season last year so great from an evolution standpoint is the way people were talking about Quinn early on. God, he doesn't have his head in the playbook and all of these things. Malik, going back to Vince or even any young quarterback that we've ever seen, I've heard more about the evolution of Arch as a true freshman during the season than just about any player that at that position that I've heard of at Texas, the excitement level. And this is coming from people who early on were really doubting him, that were really questioning him. Anwar and I, at times, we were getting intel behind the scenes that we didn't even publish. Because there were people who were like, Arch doesn't look good at all. And it's like, go ahead, Anwar, go ahead.
You go ahead and throw that out.
You do that. No, catch. People already get mad at you about things. Why don't you do it? No, I think that's your source. I really think that you should report the Arch Manning looks bad behind the scenes thing. Like, I got some other stuff. And in the end, we were like, you know what? Maybe we'll let Arch marinate a little bit. Let's give him a little bit more time. And if in a month or two, we're still hearing the same thing, then it's a little unavoidable. But, there was real concern. And then we got a little snip of Arch in a game. And it was like, he actually looks pretty good. That we didn't get to see Arch throw a lot of passes. He didn't get a lot of game action. But in the little bit that we got to see of Arch, he looked completely comfortable. He made a couple of impressive throws. It was like, okay, that kind of validated what we were hearing behind the scenes about Arch, that it was starting to come, right? That what once was a struggle, now he's looking better in practice. And I think by the end of the season, there's a real sense this Arch Manning guy is every bit the guy that everybody thought he was. It took a little bit, and I think he's ahead of schedule. And there are still people behind the scenes. And look, I'll admit, I roll my eyes a little bit, a smidge, because there are people who are still convinced. I talk to one all the time. He's a guy that absolutely has insight into the program. He's a guy that I trust as a source. And we talk about Arch. He's not convinced that he can't beat out Quinn this year. And I'm like, I am not going to go on to House Divided with Chad and predict that Arch is going to win the job away from Quinn. I'm not doing that. I think
right. Especially since the head coach has not told us there's a competition going on.
But I think there is. I think Sark had to say that. Oh, I think Quinn's the starter, right? Like, I don't want anybody to hear anything else that I say and then run with it and leave out the part where I think Quinn is going to be the starter. I expect him to have a big year, all of these things, right? But I think that behind the scenes, I think they're telling Arch that there's a battle. I think he said what he had to say so that the offseason isn't a zoo. If he comes out, think about the way Arch Manning gets reported on. If Sark had come out on signing day and he gets the Arch question, and then someone says, hey, just to clarify, Quinn's your starting quarterback? If Sark says anything other than Quinn's the starter, if he goes with that coaching mumbo jumbo that sometimes Sark has said, right, which is every year, every battle starts over at 0. And, we're going to have a competition in the spring and Quinn will take the reps with the ones, but there's a quarterback battle. There's a battle at every position. He'd say that when Bijan was on campus. Well, even the starting running back, just stop. Bijan's the starting running back. But he didn't do that. He said Quinn was the starter. One of the things that Anwar reported in the war room on Thursday night was that the people close to Arch were like, that didn't mean anything. That's what Sark had to say. But I think Arch's attitude is he's going to give it the go. He's not the favorite by any stretch to be the starter, but I think he thinks there's a competition. And I do think there are people behind the scenes that believe that there's a competition or that there will be. And yet I'm on social media today. I'm on Twitter, and the UT football department put out a Quinn video where Quinn's leading the team in off-season drills. And I think that's probably, there's an experience advantage. There is a leadership thing that Quinn, I think, is settling into that Arch doesn't and probably won't have. It's hard to be a real leader when you're the backup. Even Vince Young, one of the great leaders of all time, needed older guys like Chris Sims to get the hell on out of the way so that 10 could be 10. But it's hard for young guys when they're a backup to be a big leader. So, again, it's going to be Quinn. But I think the headline to take out of all of this is that Arch is improving at such a rate that these conversations would even dare be suggested.
Well, I also think, Catch, what this may be an indicator of is to give you a little more insight into the Malik Murphy decision. Some people might have looked at the Malik Murphy decision as strictly is Quinn going to stay or not? But he might have ended up like Luke and Leia and the gang in the trash compactor in Star Wars, where things were coming from both sides, where he's thinking to himself, not only is the guy coming back, but this other dude is going to pass me. Forget about me versus him in 2 years. This year, I'm feeling like he's going to pass me. So do I really want to hang out as the third string followed by the second string?
I still don't think Texas fans I've said, look, one day when Steve Sarkisian passes away at 110, he's going to live forever, right? But one day Steve Sarkisian, like the rest of us, will no longer be on this earth. And if there's a tombstone, right, if he doesn't get cremated, but let's say it's kind of morbid. But
It really is, yeah.
Sark's died at the age of 110, and he's got the biggest cemetery plot in existence. It's beautiful. It's like, here lies Steve Sarkisian. And on that tombstone, it's going to say he coached Arch Manning. It's not going to say anybody else. Here lies Steve Sarkisian, coach of Arch Manning, and then whatever Arch Manning does under Sarkisian is going to be a big part of how Steve Sarkisian is forever remembered. It's just, that is part of the deal. And
come on, Catch. You know he and CJ Baxter have a deal that CJ is going to get on there too. Come on.
I mean, CJ can want it all he wants to. He can say, I love you, CJ. You're my boo. But
no, you're right.
Arch Manning is a force that we can't control that. Like that, he is a national story. And we can giggle all we want to about the way the rest of the nation is just waiting for Arch Manning to start a game in the SEC.
Right. Look at it this way, Catch. Think about one, maybe not both his uncles. Think about his most famous uncle, which I would argue would be Peyton. We not only know who Peyton was coached by in college, we know the quarterback guru.
There's still people that want to hire the former Duke head coach who's more remembered for being the guru for Peyton.
That I know his name is David Cutcliffe, that I've seen him in like documentaries about the Mannings, like that speaks volumes. So there's going to be so much that will be remembered about Arch's time, not just Sark, but yes, Sark's going to have that high up on the resume.
So like there's a stress, there's a pressure point that Arch brings in the program that he's got to play at some point. You got to. And look, we saw it with Vince. Chance Mock is that we have him on Orange Bloods Live on The Outsiders. It's such a unique thing to have because Chance is the best example of what this pressure looks like. Chance Mock was a 5-star. Chance Mock was like the Asian's 8th leading passer at the midway point of his, and I guess that would have been his junior year. Yeah, when he started in 2003. He makes one mistake in the OU game. Gets picked off by Derek Strait. He's the nation's 8th leading passer. Remember how long? I can't even remember the last time the Longhorns had the 8th ranked passer.
That's fair.
Colt? Yeah.
Probably
2008
right
is the last time Texas had a quarterback ranked in the top 10 in passing. Chance lost his job. Why? Because Vince Young was ready? Nope. That was not the thing at all that was the case in 2003. Jesus, Vince was in the middle of the 2004 season and it still wasn't quite happening. And then at the midway point, it kind of clicks. And then it's alien Vince Young from that point on, right? But Chance lost his job because you just could not play 10. You can't have Vince Young on your team and sit the bench. And Arch is ultimately being asked, and it looks like, barring Quinn Ewers getting hurt or Arch just, how wild would it be if he took the job from Quinn Ewers? Just
like outright without an injury?
Imagine that in August, Sarkisian, look, it's not going to happen, right? But imagine a world where it did happen. Imagine the response everywhere. Suddenly Texas, not the number one team in America, but they're the most interesting team in America. Everybody wants to see what Arch does. It is, Texas can't control this force that exists on the roster. And yet, and when I talk about the force, of every 5-star quarterback that has been ranked as either the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, or number 5 player in America. So any 5-star quarterback ever that was ranked as a top 5 player in the country, none of them have ever waited more than a season and a half to become the starting quarterback. Guess who that 1.5 was? Vince Young. In the last 20, 25 years, the guy that waited the longest to become a starter, it almost always happens after 1 year at worst.
It's during that second run. Yeah.
Think about Dante Moore at UCLA this year. He transferred to Oregon because Chip Kelly just put his ass on the field and said, go. It's such a heavy thing to have a guy like that on your roster. No one's ever waited more than a season and a half. Vince is the one that waited that long. And he got pushed onto the field. Arch is likely going to wait 2 years. It'll be the first time in the history of college football that a 5-star ranking with that pedigree has ever waited that long to play. It is, and that he's patient and isn't going anywhere is a hell of a thing, because as we've seen in the transfer portal this year, guys with his pedigree, they bounce fast.
Yeah. Catch, our guy Chris Bennett jumped in the chat with a comment about those Eli Manning comments that came out. That was last weekend, I think.
Yes,
that Eli stuff came out. Was talking about Arch and the patience and the fact that everything is, going to the plan that they're okay with, but it is unique. Like as you're pointing out, another one of the chatters, Blake says, history shows we're going to need him for a few games this year at some point. Not just Quinn Ewers' history. Yeah. History in general shows you that. Somebody else just gave us a quick Arch is the man. And Catch, I thought you'd like this one. Kyle says, I'm here because the title says Arch, not because I'm a daily listener. A, Kyle, we appreciate that you're here today. B, we hope it motivates you to maybe think about being a daily listener. But honesty's good. We're all about honesty.
Just lets me know that every day moving forward, we're just going to have Arch Manning in the title.
Arch. We're going to work it in. Arch. Just the word Arch.
Arch's favorite Muppet. Like, it's just going to be a daily thing.
Exactly. That's right. Arch Manning, ketchup or mustard today on House Divided. We'll do easy shows. Who's he rooting for? If when Texas and Texas A&M play in baseball, who's Arch pulling for? I don't know.
Well, man, if we can get Arch at the dish, we can get a week's worth of shows out of Arch Manning, greatest leader ever, supporting baseball players at the dish. Believe me, guys. Kyle, thank you for your honesty. Hope you come again. Yeah. Again, I knew the Arch Nugget I should put that in my 10 thoughts from the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that needs to be probably something we talk about on one of the shows this week.
Well, and here's the thing, Catch, before we move on, let's realize this. If you're a Texas fan, if you're in this chat, you love Texas, I think it's playing out. I mean, I can't think of an ingredient of this so far that I'd be upset with. If you're going to get a guy that's as badass as Arch Manning, back in the day it was Vince Young, you don't want him to suck, right? You don't want him to be bad. You don't want all those early reports don't need to continue where you'd get to this point and people go, I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I haven't heard of any progress. You want the progress to be there. You want them to push someone that's ahead of them, like Vince Young, whatever ways he pushed Chance Mock. You want that to happen. And then obviously you want, if he does get the job at some point, you want him to, be a badass. So at this point, you've got a really good quarterback. You got a quarterback that's taken you to the playoff, for God's sakes, is about to take you into a new SEC, and you have a developing Arch Manning in the wings, one play away now, but that will give you the confidence that if something did happen, hell, Catch, even if it's just something silly like a helmet pops off and 1-6 has to, Quinn's helmet could pop off into Big House. Just natural stuff. They got to go screw the face mask back on. And Arch has to go 2 plays. And those plays are like a 2nd and 3rd down, and it's critical time. Well, he's got to be ready to go. And the crowd's got to be, the burnt orange folk there got to be ready to go. And it feels like he's making that progress. That to me, that's what I would tell a Texas fan. It's not overblowing it to overblow it. It's Arch Manning, and so far he's being the Arch Manning you want him to be.
He's supposed to be the number one player from his recruiting class. So of all the players in the country, he's supposed to be projected as like a future number one overall pick in the NFL draft. That's right. What that ranking is supposed to signify. The thing is, think back to when he met with the media for the Sugar Bowl. Mm-hmm. Think about the swarm of media around him and the optics of Quinn looking at him. Now, close your eyes. I'm going to do that time to kill thing where it's like, close your eyes. Now, imagine he's white. No, but imagine.
First time anyone's ever said, imagine a Manning is white. Go ahead, Catch. Continue.
Imagine that he's not good. Imagine if when that happened in December, it was like December 31st, maybe. It was Anwar's birthday. So the 30th, 31st, I forget.
30th. Yeah. I think it was the 30th.
Saturday the 30th, or I think that's right? So imagine that takes place, but Arch had been sucking. I think guys in the program would feel a certain kind of way about, he's not even good. But I think that by the time you got to the end of the season, I think everybody on the team realizes it's like, we've watched the early metamorphosis of Arch turning into Big Bad Mama Jamma, and now it's kind of okay because that's ultimately what we've expected of him. When it started a little slow, it was like, what's this Arch Manning thing supposed to be about? He's not even better than Malik. By the end of the year, it was like, that's why there was an Arch Manning thing. Yeah. And this is why he's probably going to beat out Malik if Malik sticks around. Those two guys were much closer behind the scenes last year as number twos. The idea the whole way was that they didn't want to burn a year for Arch. They knew they wanted to keep Malik as long as they could. And they did. They got a season out of him last year when he could have easily bailed in the spring. But by the end of the year, there was a real conversation of, Malik's the backup and he's playing, but we don't know that he's actually better than Arch, and Arch is only getting better as things go.
It is House Divided on a Tuesday, talking some Arch Manning, talking about those Longhorns that were invited to the Combine, 11 of them. We've already hit that. We'll get into some more Texas discussion, including a way too early top 25. Gotta love that. Where do the Longhorns end up?
You even have a ticker for it.
Well, we got a ticker for that too. Longhorn fans, I think you'll be happy where you are, and I think you'll also be happy. Well, you won't be happy where my Aggies ended up because they are ranked. So you won't be happy about that. They are in there.
Not ranked?
They're in the rankings. We'll get to where that is, but right now, I'm gonna try to help all the guys out. If you screw up Valentine's Day, focus on these three words: Hey City Store. This is a place where you can make up for it. If you're not the flower type, if you're too busy, look, I get it. But then you just tell her, hey, honey, I got it. Take her out to Driftwood. That sounds like the beginning of something bad, but it's not. Take her out to Driftwood, FM 150, and go to Hay City Store. It's incredible stuff. I can't wait to get back out there for that chicken fried pork chop. My wife loves the grilled pork chop almost as much as she loves me. She loves the cream gravy, I think, as much as she loves me. Go find out why. Hay City Store, there's your QR code. Tell Travis and Tamara that we say hello here at Orange Bloods Live. Also, coming up here and there, I will be telling you about a place called Taste on Main there in Buda. If you haven't been there, Travis and Tamara also have a restaurant, a steakhouse, seafood, a little more upscale than what Hay City Store is. So if you're looking for something a little bit fancier, maybe a little Valentine's, could be a good idea there. Taste on Main is what the other place is called. Hay City Store is what we've been telling you about for a while now. Both places are incredible. Go check them out. Hayes City Store. All right. It is a Tuesday, and again, a busy Tuesday for us with the Combine stuff and talking a little Arch Manning, getting the fans pumped up when you talk a little Arch, but also it's never too early, Catch, for a top 25. Where would you, if I told you There's a top 25 out there. Where are the Longhorns? Where do you think they need to be before I put it up?
Well, it feels like Ohio State and Georgia should be 1 and 2 in whatever order anybody wants to rank them in. I'd probably go Georgia 1, Ohio State 2.
Okay.
I'm probably ranking Texas ahead of Alabama. So 3, 4, and I don't know. Ole Miss probably going to be somewhere 5, 6, 7. That's all off the top of my head. I know I'm forgetting somebody. Michigan surely can't be ranked in the top 5.
Let's see, out of all you just said, rest in peace to the great Carl Weathers. Ding, ding on most of what you just said. Here we go. Texas ends up at number 4 in the early top 25. Oregon sitting at 3. Notre Dame? Yeah, and this is Schleybaugh ESPN, by the way. There's Ole Miss and Missouri, and then round out the top 10 with Bama and Utah. And I threw in the others in the top 25 that you might care about if you're Texas fans. There's LSU. Obviously, you play Michigan and OU. There's Tennessee and Kentucky, who you play, and A&M at 25 catch. So right at the end of the old rankings, the Aggies sneaking in a way too early top 25 right now.
Boy, I mean, at the end of the day, this is one man's rankings. So, we could do one of these a day, a different guy with a different ranking every day. My initial impression of that is that I don't really have a big issue with the top 4. I don't think Dylan Gabriel's better than Bo Nix. So I have a hard time giving Oregon benefit of the doubt over Texas.
Yeah, that was a lot of love. A lot of love for the Ducks. I'm with you. I would have considered Texas at 3.
I don't understand the Irish at 5. I mean,
they've got the Duke quarterback coming over. Is that right?
Yeah.
Do I have that right? Riley
Leonard. Right, Riley Leonard.
He's coming to Notre Dame. Yeah.
I don't know that I'm putting them in the top 5.
Yeah, that feels a little overcooked. Top 10, maybe not.
But we've seen Texas in the past. This is that. Look, Texas was getting preseason top 10 and 15 year after year, and they weren't even winning 8 games in reality when the preseason rankings versus reality. I think the Alabama disrespect is real.
I was about to say, how about Bama at 9? When you said Texas needs to be, I'd put Texas ahead of Bama. I thought, wait till he sees this. They're 5 ahead.
Because the thing is, and I keep telling Texas fans this, I said in the lead up to the Sugar Bowl that I thought Washington's coach was a rock star, and that you look at his career and it's very reminiscent of Urban Meyer when he was coming from Utah to Florida. Mm-hmm. That at the time we would say things like, oh, is he really ready for the SEC? This is a step he's never made before. Can he recruit? And in the end, it's like, well, no, Urban Meyer's just a certified Hall of Fame badass. So, yeah, he can do it in the SEC. I kind of feel that way about Alabama's new coach. Like, I think maybe it won't work out, but I think he is a phenomenal coach. He's never lost anywhere. He's got Jalen Milroe coming back, who, by the way, was ranked higher than Quinn Ewers in the Heisman rankings, in the Heisman vote when it was all said and done. So yeah, if I'm that level of disrespect will be very motivating for an Alabama team that's used to being talked about as number 1 or number 2, no matter what. To be that is insulting for them.
Yep.
And boy, everybody on that Alabama coaching staff will be thrilled that kind of, wait a minute, we're behind Penn State?
Yeah, for a while, Alabama gets to throw on those uniforms and be the underdog in people's minds. Remember, Georgia's coming to see them. Georgia's coming to Tuscaloosa early.
I would love to get a hold of Schleybaugh right now and say, Mark, You think if Penn State and Alabama got on a field right now, the Penn State, even though they know the plays and the Alabama guys, they got to learn their. You think really?
Hey, I got to tell you, see, Catch, I'd have been on the other side. If he was discussing it with me and he showed me that group of teams, I'd have said to him, hey, make sure you put Penn State ahead of Bama because that'll really piss people off.
I mean, I'm not mad.
I'd have told him to do it. But I'm with you. I think Bama will be better. Here's an interesting comment in the chat I want to get your thoughts on when talking about Bama. Blake said, I just don't see Milroe fitting into the offensive system of DeBoer. That is going to be a wild – there's going to be so many things to watch in college football. But for the Bama part of it, that's really it, right? It starts with, can Kalen DeBoer get his system and his ideas and everything put in year one, make it respectable, make it badass Bama level, but he's got to get Jalen Milroe dialed up. Catch, frankly, that coaching staff last year couldn't do it at the beginning. Remember how weird and clunky? Of course we do. They went to, when Texas went to see him, they weren't sure about Milroe. Then they benched him and trying to teach him a lesson and whatever. DeBoer and Milroe trying to understand each other is a big part of college football this year.
Yeah, and I think for year one, DeBoer will just adjust his offense a little bit. I mean, that's what great coaches do. If you think about Urban Meyer in his career, he kind of did it with all kinds of different quarterbacks. Everybody kind of had their idea of what an Urban Meyer quarterback looked like. You watched Alex Smith when he was at Utah, but they made it work with Chris Leak. And when they won the national championship in 2006, yes, it was a rotation of sorts between Leak and Tim Tebow when Tebow was a freshman. But think about the offense that Florida ran with Tebow. Think about the offense that it ran when it won the national championship with Chris Leak. Like different offenses, different just alterations of it. I think, look, great coaches take great players and they figure out a way to make it work. And I think DeBoer's a great coach. And I think Milroe's a great player. And I think he was the best player on the field in the SEC championship game against Georgia, with all of those players going to the combine from both schools. And on that night, Milroe imposed his will. He was the best player. It was the reason why I thought Alabama had a real chance to beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and it didn't quite work out that way. But, yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think he'll make it work with – I don't think he's going to ask that kid to be Michael Penix.
Yeah, I think that's fair. This is also, I believe, happened as well. I think they're done with this. So the OC from Washington that would have been at Bama is now going to be with the Seahawks.
Yeah,
so
but
Kalen DeBoer is, I mean, we know it's his offense anyway, but Kalen DeBoer now has even more of that responsibility on him.
Yeah, but I think that's a good thing. That's a little bit like, Texas, A.J. Milwee left a month into his career at Texas. Now Steve Sarkisian's going to have to handle the quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, come on. The man wasn't OC. He was he was OC. He was up in the booth calling plays, wasn't he? A.J. Milwee's not calling plays.
No. But my point is, when you have a head coach who has such an extensive background,
right,
I think you're fine.
Yeah.
If it's like, well, Kellen DeBoer will spend more time in the offensive coaches' rooms this year than he will on defense, I think it's fine. I think that, by the way, can you hear the gizmo barking in the background?
Oh, yeah. We can hear it.
Just hold on. I'm going to scare it real quick, okay? So I'm going to hit the mute button. You're going to see it, but you're not going to hear it.
Here we go. Catch scaring the dog. Catch freaking the dog out. And there's the big shut up. Yeah. When daddy says shut up, it's done. It's over.
Now, what oftentimes a bigger dog will bark now.
Yeah. Just to
the little dog's intimidated. Oh, she went into she's still barking. She don't give a damn.
Now she's has an attitude with you.
The thing is, big dogs are barking. So can't be anything too big, bad. Like an Amazon driver is not at the door.
No. Okay. Fair enough. By the way, Catch, I don't know if you saw it last night. We did have a dog debut on The Outsiders. Chance Mock got a new dog. We got to see him last night. Little gray French bulldog named Stevie. He's cute as hell. That
He
dog
named
is
his dog after Stevie Lee?
I believe he named his dog. Yes, exactly. Yes. Let's go with that one. Yes, Stevie, if you're out there watching, name the dog after you. Absolutely.
Hey, man, I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. I'm sure it had nothing to do with the guitar player. It was all about you.
I once named a dog after a Louisiana high school football product, just like Chance did.
That's right.
Brady James. Something about them boys in Louisiana to get you naming dogs after them.
Yeah, way too soon. Top 25. By my count, we're 139 days still till Texas becomes an SEC team and 35 days from spring practice. So it's never too early to get in that discussion. Texas sitting at number 4 in this discussion, and then some teams that they will face also in the rankings, including, once again, Kentucky and A&M hanging on at the end there. Kentucky at 23, A&M at 25, meaning, Catch, if those two teams want to still be ranked when they face Texas, they're going to have some work to do in 2024 because they both are probably going to start in that area, backside of the top 25, if that.
I looked at FanDuel's win totals for the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
How many teams do you think on the Texas schedule Texas will play that FanDuel has listed at 8.5 wins or more?
Okay. Since I did read your 10 thoughts from the weekend, I think I can cheat on this one. It was it 3? It was 3, right?
It's Michigan who at 9.5.
Yep.
Georgia at 10.5. Georgia and Texas, top 2 listed teams in the SEC, their win totals, the over and under 10.5.
Okay.
Which is wild. What respect that Texas suddenly has.
Right. Georgia respect, and they're playing each other or, during the middle of the season. Fantastic.
The schedule, if you look at Schleybal's rankings, it's a tough schedule. They play number 1 at home. They play then it goes away a while. I guess Michigan would be the next highest ranked team. I think he had them at 12. Is that right?
Right. The Michigan at 13, LSU 12. Then it's the backside. So Michigan, OU 14. There's 2 right there.
And he's got A&M at 8.5 wins. That's the over and under for the Aggies.
And the last 2. Yeah. And that's I think that's exactly where to put the number for the Aggies. Can they get to 9 is a huge question this year.
But that's it.
Yeah.
I looked it up. On the Texas schedule, they play 5 of the 6 lowest win total projected teams in the SEC on their schedule. And they only play 1 of the 6 top highest rated SEC teams, which has me thinking, excuse my language, kids.
Here we go.
That 2025 schedule.
You think they're going to give it back to him then?
Well, because they're talking about that they haven't completely confirmed it, but it could be a complete flip-flop and you play all 8 teams that you didn't play the year before.
Yeah. With
maybe 1 rivalry game mixed in.
Yeah. I do, for the record, after watching this conference play out for about a decade or so, Catch, where my team's in it, I do think it's sweet that anybody would think there'll be a pattern. I really do. Like, this conference doesn't care about what makes sense, what you think is coming, what pattern is. That means they'll play them on the road next year. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
All I'm telling you, though, is that the schedule on paper is about as nice as you could ask for.
Yes, I agree. What they did for Texas, I've said it since the moment it came out, Catch, cruel but fair. I thought it was to everybody. I thought the SEC was cruel but fair to every single team. There's cruelty in everybody's schedule, but there's fairness in everybody's schedule. Everybody gets 2 buys. Can't bitch about that. Go look at what they're handing the Bamas, the Georgias, and try to tell me that they're being totally nice to them. It's not a total pillow fest for those teams. It's just not. And then what they did for Texas, there's cruelty there. Oklahoma and Georgia back to back. Arkansas and A&M in a 3-week span, both on the road. But then look at the rest of it and you go, oh, okay. All right. They're not making them go to there or there. They're not making that team come to us. Oh, okay.
On paper, the Aggies are the third toughest team on the schedule. And I think Texas fans would laugh at that, right? That at this point, Texas fans have no respect for the Aggies. So if you tell them that the Aggies are the third best team that they got to play this season, I think a Texas fan would say, well, I guess we are winning 11 games.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be the case. Just on the top of my head, that should not be the case. Oklahoma should be a better football team than A&M. Theoretically, if I'm an Oklahoma fan,
over and under this season is 7.5 right now on FanDuel.
Yeah. I'd be fired up if I was an OU fan hearing that, but you might be right. That's an interesting discussion. Those two don't play each other this year.
What's more disrespectful? Alabama at number 9 in the country, or Oklahoma with 7.5 wins as their over and under? It's close.
I'd say the Bama
thought
thing.
About it before I asked it.
I'd say the Bama thing because the OU quarterback left.
Fair enough.
If
Jackson
Gabriel
Arnold, this is an indictment on Jackson Arnold to a certain extent.
Absolutely.
Oscar for $4.99, Chad says, but Sioux Falls isn't in the SEC.
That's a good line.
Fair enough.
That is
the
true.
Grub loss will be big for year one, I think. Yeah. But KB is big time. He'll get it done eventually.
Man, what a challenge.
Has he ever gone 9-3 in any year, anywhere in his life?
DeBoer?
Yeah. I don't think he has.
That's a great.
I don't think DeBoer has lost 3 games in a season ever.
Man, well, he may be about to get introduced to that. It is one of the it's one of the greatest challenges we have ever seen. It might be the biggest challenge we've ever seen. The guy that replaces Belichick is one thing, but look what Belichick did this year. What kind of year did the Patriots have? It was down. We've seen him be down. You can be down in the NFL and still be one of the best coaches ever because it's damn hard. Nick Saban's been up there the whole time. His last year, before he retires, was he terrible? Well, no, they made the playoff. Oh, really? And he beat Georgia and Atlanta. Really? Yeah. And he lost in the semifinal in overtime. That's how he went out. And that's the expectation level that Bama fans are going to want. He leaves with 6, and they're going to want one this year. They don't want to wait.
By the way, I keep calling him. Kalen, not Frank.
You called him Frank DeBoer?
Well, because there is a Frank DeBoer that was a Dutch soccer player.
Oh, dear God. You're letting your soccer fandom melt into your college football talk. What is going on?
It's just a DeBoer thing. Maybe I didn't say it. I said it in my head, but I Googled Frank DeBoer, and then I was like, why am I getting the soccer player from the Netherlands? Oh, Kalen, that's right. Because I wanted to look it up. Yeah. He did go 9 you know what? He went 3-3 at Fresno in 2020 and 9-3 in 2021. In all of his other seasons, though, 11-2, 14-0, 13-1, 14-0, 15-0.
Damn.
11-12 and 14-1.
Yeah,
I know it's not Sioux Falls anymore, but he beat Texas's ass in the playoffs.
That's pretty badass. And by the way, just before we leave the discussion, not that one, my bad. Stoopsified jumped in and said 7.5 would be a huge disappointment. Well, I would imagine it would.
What if you get 8?
Yeah. I think Stoopsified is saying a 7 certainly would. 8 Stoopsified, you wouldn't be happy with 8, would you?
No.
It can't be.
I mean, it may be a rude awakening, right? And look at
yeah, that's what he's saying. Either side of that. Whereas me as an Aggie, Jeff, if you tell me 8.5, oh, I can live with one side of 8.5, not the other. I don't want 8. That would be an okay season, but I'd like a little more. If the Aggies could end up on the 9 side, that's where I'd like them to be.
Well, then that could potentially make 2025 the most intriguing season of all time. Because if the Aggies can get to 9 and the Longhorns are who we think they are, then in 2025 we're going for history, Chad.
Oh, mercy. Mercy. That's right. That's true. That's true. Then the stat may rear its ugly head. We got a long way before the stat, I think, is going to matter. Let's see how Mike Elko and Colin Klein do before we start talking about the stat.
All right, Chad. By the way, I have my questions for buy or sell ready.
Do you really?
I I got it all done. You just didn't even notice, but I snuck questions in. I'm feeling pretty good about them. Yeah.
Hey, you are a multitasking son of a gun. There go those rankings one more time. Let me let Texas show up one more time in that way too early top 25. You can go to ESPN.com and look at the full list and breakdown if you want to see it. There's Texas at number 4 in that way too soon top 25. All right, Mr. Ketchum. It is just about buy or sell time. Before we get there, I'm a little hungry. So why don't you tell the folks about some prime shrimp? Can they help them?
Prime shrimp. Prime shrimp. Prime shrimp. Look, scan that QR code. Go to the website, primeshrimp.com. They've got choices out the wazoo. The Cajun barbecue is my favorite, but they got tons of flavors. They even have unflavored. If you're one of those people that doesn't like seasoning, that just wants to eat something however you want to eat it without, hey, they got that. They'll take care of you. It's literally in black and white. Everything else is sprinkled in color. Oh, it's good. It tastes good. The prices are incredibly affordable. If I told you that the best meal you're going to have all week costs less than $12, what are we talking about, right? And oh, by the way, it's easy to prepare. So the cost is great. The prep time is minimal and it tastes fantastic. That's what Prime Shrimp gives you on a daily basis. Time to get the hookup. Go to primeshrimp.com or scan that QR code. Make it happen today. Prime Shrimp.
You don't like that. A little prime shrimp.
I was trying to channel Mean Machine with Prime Shrimp.
Prime shrimp. You did good. That was well done.
I was channeling The Longest Yard, which I don't know why. Haven't seen that movie in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too.
Into my head, yes.
Been a while. All right. You want to go first or second today?
I always make you go first when I don't have questions. So I'll go first today now that I have my questions. So buy or sell number 1, Xavier Worthy will be the UT star of the NFL Combine.
Boy, there are a lot of combinable kind of guys headed to Indy. Let me think about the 11 now. Xavier Worthy will be the UT star. The UT star of the Combine. You know what? Nothing against X-Man. I'm going to sell. I'm going to go with my upbringing. I'm going to say it's one of those defensive linemen that's going to be – I love defensive lineman freaky day at the Combine, and I'm going to say one of those dudes goes freaky and gets the attention. I'm going to sell.
The hatch coming out.
That's right.
And Chad right now with his answer.
Hey,
fair enough.
Look, I can't help it, Catch. I was raised around Wrecking Crews and around Harvey Martin and Ed Jones and Randy White. I can't help it.
Fair. I'm not disagreeing with you, although I do think Xavier Worthy is going to be the star, but I know why you got the process. You came by it naturally. No problem with that. Speaking of Texas players in the Combine, and if you just tuning in, 11 Longhorns in the Combine. I guess when is the Combine?
February, like 28th, 29th through the beginning of March. So that last weekend in February.
Thank you. I thought we were going to have to depend on Cody there for a second. Again, Cody's just doing all the work today. Buy or sell number 2. Keelan Robinson will run a sub 4.38 at the Combine.
Whoo, if I'm going to be in the fan club, I got to say bye. Come on, Keelan. Burn it out, baby. Show him what you got. I hope he can become an all-purpose kind of back in the league for somebody. In somebody's running back room, Catch, I think he can be a weapon. Yeah, I'll say he burns it, man. That's what they do now. 4.38? Those dudes call that breakfast now in Indy. He's good.
No pressure, Keelan. No pressure, but Chad's got you in the mid 4.3s, just so you know.
Come on, Keelan.
Buy or sell number 3. Highest rated Super Bowl ever. Atta girl, Taylor.
Buy. A lot of ingredients go into it. She's certainly one of them. I predicted it. You gave me the buy or sell that it would be most watched ever. I thought it would be with all the streaming stuff, and you add it in together, and they're able to, I think calculate the numbers even a little differently. But yeah, and then the game goes to overtime for only the second time, and everybody deep down wants to see her reaction, even if they won't admit it. Yes, bye.
Real quick, I got to edit
Uh-oh.
I gotta edit. I had this wrong. So here we go. Buy or sell number 4. I have now fixed it.
Look at you editing on the fly and everything. You're
As
crazy
a Cowboys fan, you're
Mhm.
okay with Mike Zimmer back as DC.
I'm interested to know what you changed.
It's an OC.
OC. Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah, you never know. I mean, just right? They try stuff. I will buy because of the letters OK. That's exactly how I would describe it. I'm okay with him being the DC of the Dallas Cowboys. Am I overly excited? No. Am I pumped? No. Am I, bowing up to the rest of the division? No. Am I okay with it? Sure.
By the way, the Cowboys are 15-1 to win the Super Bowl, and the Eagles are 17-1. Is that right? I hate to say it, but I would bet on the Eagles to win the Super Bowl before I bet on the Cowboys.
I would too. Yeah, I'd switch those two.
By the way, you're getting 7.5 to 1 on the Chiefs. Jump on that while you can.
7.5 for wins?
No, it's plus 750.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying their win total was at 7.5.
No, they're 7.5 to 1.
Okay, all
to
right.
win the Super Bowl.
I was going to say, even I know to bet that over. Damn. 7.5 wins? Come on.
And finally, Chad, get you back on topic. Buy or sell number 5. I want you to have a long, hard think about this, okay?
Okay. All right.
Buy or sell. Jason Kelce is your favorite Philadelphia Eagles player of all time. Before you answered, there's a great shot post Super Bowl. Have you seen it? Travis Kelce is putting Taylor Swift's jacket on her like such a gentleman.
Yeah.
The camera pans over to Jason Kelce, and he's about to fall into a tree.
They're just in Vegas somewhere.
They're in a post game. They're like post Super Bowl party, and the camera shot starts out on Taylor and Travis, and he's putting the jacket on her, and they kind of got a little bit of a dance going, and then the cell phone camera pans this way, and Jason Kelce's just obliterated, and he's about to fall over. It's fantastic.
That is great. That is great. I'm trying to think through the years. There's never been. I can't think of an Aggie that turned into an Eagle that I would have.
Sizemore?
That I would have that much love for. You just took the name, I think. Yeah, I think Jason's been awesome, but I think I will sell. And because I've met Jerry Sizemore and I've been around Jerry a little bit, I will go. Yeah, I'll sell and say Jerry Sizemore is my favorite Eagle of all time. Former Longhorn and Eagle great.
I'm taking Kelce.
He is great.
I love him.
Yeah,
he is. He may be the president one day. That when it's all said and done,
scary thought. That's a scary thought. Would you vote for a Rock Jason Kelce ticket? Rock Kelce.
No, if you flip them.
Kelce Rock? You want to go
with
Kelce
I'll
Rock?
go if Rock's the vice president. I'll go Jason Kelce as the president. What could go wrong?
Hey, you know what? Maybe that's the better way to do it, Catch, because The Rock would need to be there when the Senate goes crazy, and he could control when the Senate goes.
Hey, somebody's got to be there when Tuberville starts pulling shit. Suddenly The Rock is. It doesn't matter what you want to. Yeah.
Okay, red crybabies, blue crybabies. We're all gonna shut up right now. All right. Buy or sell time for Mr. Ketchum. That was 5, correct? Your
yes.
Kelce was the finish. Okay. Here we go, Catch. Buy or sell. Number 1, Texas and Texas A&M right now are projected to meet in the first round of the tournament. If they played in the first round, a loss to A&M would be worse than a trip to the NIT.
So.
Okay. Just check.
I mean, the NIT is a failure. And making the tournament is some resemblance of at least a minimum level of accomplishment. So, look, man, I saw what happened when Shaka won the NIT.
Yeah.
So, the NIT's failure. No matter, you could be the best failure, but you're still failure. And I don't, losing, these teams are about to play again in football. So, I think the stigma of the other sports is gone.
Man, I'm hoping for it. I really want to see it. God, I think it'd be great.
Yeah,
A little 7-10. By the way, did you see what happened to each team on Saturday? Like, the fans really got to enjoy House Divided over the weekend. Longhorns win by a ton. Aggies blow Tennessee out.
Best day of House Divided basketball, and I don't know how long.
It's been a long time, Catch. Texas has beaten TCU, Baylor, and OU. My Aggies have beaten Kentucky and Tennessee. Both are firmly in the tournament right now, according to bracketology.
Yep.
Like, not having to play in. We'll see if it continues. A&M's at Bama this weekend, and Texas goes to Houston with a week off. Huge game in H-Town for Texas this week. Mark that one on CBS, too. Everybody's going to be paying attention to that
CBS one. Proper. It's one of the games of the season.
No doubt. All right, Catch. Buy or sell number 2. I'm going to up the ante for you. Mike Zimmer to Dallas. You are encouraged by the hire.
I mean, I really, really, really like Mike Zimmer. I do. I don't want him now.
Yeah.
We had the best version of Mike Zimmer previously.
Yeah.
He's not – the league's different. I just – it feels like you're bringing the prodigal son home because you didn't have any better ideas.
Right.
I really am a Mike Zimmer fan. It is not like I'm anti-Mike Zimmer, but like he's going to be 68 soon. I'm not trying to go ageism here, but I just can't believe he's the best. He's the best that the Dallas Cowboys could get. Just it's disheartening.
Yeah, it's the old Charlie Robinson song that always plays in my head. You're not the best, but you're the best that I can do. That seems to be the Cowboys' plan sometimes. All right, Catch, here we go. Staying in the NFL. Buy or sell number 3. It's Randy Moss's birthday today. Happy birthday to Randy. Mount Rushmore of wide receivers. Rice, Moss, and then start the discussion.
Oh, buy. Yeah.
Who you like in those other 2 spots? I've been trying to figure it out today. Like, who really needs to be in that discussion? Is T.O. in that discussion?
I mean, he has to be in the conversation.
Is Chris Carter in that kind of discussion?
No.
I've been trying to figure out who it is. Like, who, because those are the guarantee guys to me. Just absolute guarantee. I don't have to look up stats. I don't have to come up with an argument. Those 2 are lockdowns. I'm just trying to – where does it go from there?
Nobody belongs on a tier with them.
Yeah.
I'll listen to Calvin Johnson because in his prime, I think Calvin Johnson's prime is in the neighborhood of like a Randy Moss prime.
Right. Megatron was a badass, no doubt.
Fitzgerald's in the conversation.
Yeah.
And
Larry's
look,
in there.
Larry did it on the biggest stage too. He's got the career numbers.
Yeah.
So Larry once did the Aggies dirty in Kyle Field. Remember that?
Yes, I recall. Thanks for bringing that one up. Speaking of the Aggies, when it's all said and done, I love me some Mike Evans. Does he deserve to be in that discussion?
No.
I wouldn't think so either. I love Mikey to death, but I don't know if he gets up into top 4 talk.
I'll go the 4 that I said: Rice, Moss, Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, with Terrell Owens just on the outside. And if somebody wants to flip-flop T.O. for somebody else, I'm okay with that.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. All right, Catch. Buy or sell number 4. This time of year is a big reason you are a soccer fan.
Buy. Man, the offseason for me is so much better than it is for non-soccer fans. Because I have the rest of this month, March, April, and May, where I'm all in. I'm good. I will get 10 hours a weekend of soccer at a minimum from now through May.
Damn.
So I wake up in June and I got to survive 2 months, but I'm able to survive it pretty easily. I'm good, man. The offseason, soccer is an offseason saver.
Okay, now just for the record, since you were mixing up names earlier, I want to make sure we're clear. If during college football season we get the Fox analyst on, his name is not Joel Klopp. His name is Joel Klatt.
Don't do that. Like,
I just want to
Jurgen Klopp is like my dad.
I understand that.
I want to be. It's my daydream dad.
I know you're going through some Klopp feelings
my daydream
right now.
Older brother. I'm not sure.
I know your Klopp feelings are going to last a while. I just want to make sure, just in case we get Joel, that we don't mess that up. Just
believe I have either 98 or 97 days left of Jurgen Klopp being the manager of Liverpool. Not that anybody's counting.
You got the Klopp clock?
Man, we're in double digits. We're no longer in triple digits. Oh. I can feel it. It hurts.
That is not good. All right. Well, let's see if we can get you maybe feeling a little bit better and a little bit nostalgic. Catch, buy or sell number 5. If it's The Rock versus Triple H at Mania, you're in. This is where I think we're headed. I think we're headed for these two guys getting in a ring again. Would you be interested enough to watch? Buy or sell?
Buy, but not because of that.
Okay.
The Royal Rumble entertained me. I enjoyed it. I haven't really been doing the other shows.
Okay, but you're up for Cody and Roman.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch WrestleMania if it's for free because I've got Peacock, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm in. If it's free, okay. I'll take 3.
Yeah, so they're doing a good job here. If we can get these two legends, they're both going to be in good shape. I have no worries about that. Catch, they're both good on a microphone. And this Friday on SmackDown, The Rock and Roman Reigns are going to show up, and they're going to confront Triple H. And I think we're cooking towards those two guys because then the crowd's reaction can be just what it needs to be. Then if they want to love The Rock, they can. If Triple H needs to put him over, that's fine. Like, I think it's going to be great. I think the little kid in me is going to have so much fun if it's The Rock against Triple H. I can't wait.
I'm in. I'm not in because of that match. But if they give it to us, yeah, man. We'll rewind the clock and have a good time.
Could be fun. Could be fun. All right, Catch, before we get out of here, since I went through the incredible strain of making these two graphics, would you like to see either the Longhorns going to the Combine or the way too soon top 25 one more time?
No.
You want to see either one?
I mean, if you want to put it up, cool, but I don't need to see it.
Okay, fair enough. 11 Longhorns headed to the Combine. If you want to check it out, go to the front end of the show, and it'll.
I mean, do you have the graphics ready?
Of course I do.
Well,
I wouldn't have asked.
You did the work. Okay, don't pay attention to me.
I was going to say, well, what do you mean? You're the boss, and I wanted to ask the question.
Let me see what you did. Let me see them.
Right? I mean, there it is. You're running across.
It's only an extra 30. Oh, you're talking about on the ticker.
Well, yeah.
I thought you were talking about you made like full screen graphics as well. Oh. No, I'm good. I don't need the ticker again. See
yeah. No, I didn't make the graphic. Okay, there we go. That's
what I thought you were saying. And I was like, well, no, because you made the ticker and I've seen them now, so I'm good.
I have once again disappointed you. I am so sorry. All right. Before we get out of here, anything else you would like to hit before we show them some specs and hit the door?
I'll just say this. I saw Master A. He said, sound like prime time. And I thought that said sound like prime shrimp at first.
You are hungry. You are in that mood. It is kind of lunchtime. If you're in that mood, if you're in the mood for a little bit of
Lisa.
That's right. If you're in the mood for a little something to eat, a little something to drink, maybe you're like Catching. You got a lot of soccer coming up. Maybe you're like me and you're just waiting around for the UFL to start. Whatever reason you need stuff, Specs has got your stuff. Here you go.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Yes, indeed. All right. That is House Divided for a Tuesday. Reminder.
Like the video.
Like, subscribe, get your notifications. We got to get the training. I'm telling you, Catch, if we could just get YouTube to change the like to a hook'em emoji, it really would help us out. I've never wanted to see that hand gesture more in my life. I think it could really help us.
I just hit the like button and became like number 69 on the video.
Nice. All right. You go be number 70 and 71 and so on. Go like, subscribe, get those notifications so you know when the next shows are coming up. This afternoon at 4, you've got the next Modcast. And the one thing we can tell you about that is there will be no Alex Dunlap. Alex Dunlap, you're probably not, I don't know if you're conscious right now or not. Alex Dunlap.
He's conscious. I chatted with him. He's got his bag of peas. He's good to go.
Good.
Yeah.
He had that procedure done today. The big V. The big V.
The bag of peas.
The big V with the bag of peas today for Alex Dunlap. We hope he's feeling better very quickly. But the rest of the Modcast will be there for you this afternoon at 4. So be there right here on Orange Bloods Live. Check it out. Until 12 o'clock tomorrow for a Wednesday show, we are House Divided.